in the world of NIL and everything else, how everything is changed, even from say 5 years ago when you have like these larger than life personalities and influencers and all of that kind of stuff. How does that change what you guys do? I mean, you're so focused on the brand, you're so focused on the core LSU foundational brand. How do we almost kind of make sure that not that the sum gets bigger than the parts or anything like that, but how do you make sure that that everybody is staying loyal to the LSU brand?
It's a great question. I think the great thing is that the LSU brand was already well established before any of us got here, before I got here, before Scott Woodward got here, before any of us got here. There were a lot of great people, from the Herb Vincents and Paul Manassas, and there's these legends of LSU athletics. Michael Bonnet, who's still there, has been there for forever. Kent Lowe's, Bill Frankez's. There's been a lot of people over the years, Jason Fearman, who have worked really hard to build this brand up to where it is. So it starts with being very fortunate to have that platform and that brand that's already established. But where NIL has maybe changed it is, one, it's made every coach, staff member, student athlete realize the importance of the brand. I think if you'd had this conversation 10 years ago, some would get it, some wouldn't. Today, they all get it. They all understand the importance of it. So that gives us some credibility. It puts some pressure on us. But then I think it makes you, and it makes us, and I think it's why my role was created, it makes us be very intentional about our brand and making sure that it's very well-defined, well-measured, and well-managed, so that when we talk about it with a new student athlete, because our student athletes are churning over not only every 4 or 5 years, every year with the transfer portal.
Yeah.
Or when we talk about it with our coaches who, you keep a coach around for 10, 15 years, that's great. A lot of them transition after a year or two, if they're assistants, to go to another job, or if they're head coaches, sometimes they're 3 or 4 years and then they're on to the next job. With all that churn, you need to have a well-defined brand that you can hand over to the person that's coming in and say, this is our brand. You've seen it. You're familiar with it. Here are the intricate details. Here's the definition of it, so that when you talk about it, when you put it on the walls in your program, when you are out in recruiting, you have the same language to talk about that we all do. So having it well-defined and then well-managed, we're looking at it every day. We're looking at, Jason Fearman's looking at everything that goes out from LSU and making sure it looks and feels LSU. Yeah. Brandon Barrio's looking at everything that goes on social media and making sure it looks and feels LSU. Michael Bonnet's looking at everything that's in the media talking about LSU and making sure it feels and looks LSU. So managing it on a day-to-day basis, then measuring it, looking at the data. Where are we resonating? Where are we not? What messages are we sending that are working? What messages are we sending that are not working? The ones that are working, let's do more of them. The ones that are not working, get rid of them and move on to something else. Let's look at our competitors. What is working for them? What can we spin off of them? What can we do that's a complete 180 from what they're doing? Having that constant measurement source and that constant feedback loop helps us make better decisions, helps us think outside the box, or helps us look at what someone else is doing and saying, you know what, we can do that too, or we can do it better. So I think it's those three things, being able to define it, manage it, and measure it, that are really, really important, especially in the NIL era.